Hi friends, welcome back to my channel Testing Mini Bytes. I'm your friend Amudan Shaktivel, and in this video we're gonna, see about how we can get started with the code refactoring. Right? Assume that I have already downloaded a project from an GitHub repository, and we will gonna use this for doing the code refactoring. Right? Again, so first let's go through the framework structure and let's try to see what is the problem, and we'll also understand how they are using, what technologies they are using, how they are approach a problem, right? And we'll try to optimize that. Good. If you notice, we have uh, you know uh, class path project. Maybe they have created this project in Eclipse. While they push the code to Git, they may or they should definitely ignore this class path and project, which is not even relevant for someone who is using other IDs, right? And again, for a different machine. So maybe this is an old project, so we don't have to really worry about it for now. But as a better practice, you should not push this unrelevant files to the Git. Again, from the code, I could see there is a testng file, so they are using a testng to as a unit testing framework. And they use some listeners here. They also parsing the browser from browser as Chrome from the testng. I'm not a big fan of parsing this from parameters, but still they use it like this. Again, they have a back file. Why they have a back file? Okay, they're trying to run maven clean install command. So this maybe they are calling inside. There may be a surefire plugin. Yes, there is a surefire plugin, and they are calling this testng.xml from the maven command using the surefire plugin, right? Again, I see this are outdated. Maybe we'll try to optimize this. They have this test output folder. That's the default report, it seems. Okay, I see there are a lot of older reports with timestamps. This is bad because it's just mutating the already existing test hyphen output folder from testng. Shouldn't be the case, but we'll try to optimize this later. But for now, they're having a screenshots folder. Maybe they are storing all the screenshots here. I could see only one screenshot. But as a good practice, we don't have to take it as a png file. Instead, we can take a screenshot, convert to a base 64 image, and then attach to the report. That's the best way to out of it, right? Again, they seems to use log4j. I'm not a big fan of log4j because we already have. So if you notice, they already have external reports, right? So why do you need a log4j? Do you really use a log4j for debugging the issue? Then why do you need a external reports for? Again, you cannot have multiple reports. Again, why do you want to have multiple reports? When you add log4j, you introduce a lot of layers into the framework. Again, I'm not a big fan of using log4j inside a test automation framework. You may also have a different view, but this is just my personal preference. I try to find all the issues, or log all the issues within the external report itself, right? Again, I think drivers in the means, I think this is called as executables, right? Why, I don't know why they have mentioned this as drivers, because executables is more readable. Okay, again, there are something starting with capital letters. Again, something is starting with small letters. Again, they should follow some convention, because suppose I want to create a new folder in the project repository. I don't know whether, as a newcomer, I don't know whether I need to use a capital letter or small letter, because here they have used small letters and here the upper cases, right? So this is little tricky. Again, they have used executables. Maybe they are not aware of WebDriver manager, or we'll try to avoid that, right? So we'll use WebDriver manager to avoid that. And they also have a config properties from where they are. Okay, so they are passing the username, password. Again, password is basically uh, uh, unencrypted. So yeah, but again, passing the Chrome path, IE path, Firefox path from the property files, again, that seems irrelevant. Let's say we'll come to this later, but for now, um, let's try to optimize this pom.xml to some latest version, and we'll try to avoid this, right? So yeah, so again, there are a lot of irrelevant spaces here again. So it has to be formatted properly. A good formatted code is very important, for more readability. Again, you can use Control A and Control Alt I to basically format your code. Good. Again, if you notice, Maven compiler plugin is using 1.6. but I don't want that. I'll directly use a 1.8. Again, if you are someone who don't know, what is this plugin or something like that, you want to add it. Suppose if this is missing, if you want to add it, okay, I already have some tricks. Okay, so if I just type compiler, okay, so if you notice, it's auto populating in my ID. So if you press enter, it basically adds that for me. I just align it back, so I know that I have added the right one. So how this can be done? Okay, this is a live template that I normally use. You can basically open your settings, and then you can basically go to search for live templates. Okay, and inside live templates, okay, you have a lot of options, but choose the one from Maven, right? We are basically working with Maven, right? So for example, I have added something called as compiler. So that basically helps us to add a plugin. So if you notice, if I type compiler, the description will come as compiler plugin, and it will insert this particular piece of code, right? So maybe um, you can also add all your stuff. Again, most importantly, you need to define the context where you want to add this. In my case, I want to only this one to be applicable. This template should be applicable only on the Maven. So I choose Maven and I click on OK. Okay, you can also uh, add for others. For example, here I don't have a Surefire. Maybe I'll try to add the Surefire and show you guys. But again, the version here is old, so we'll also try to edit the version. And so yeah, so it is auto populating me. Yeah, so I'll copy this. Okay, I'll cut it. So let's go and create a live template. If you are someone who haven't used a live template, so you can understand here. So click on this Maven, okay, and then click on this plus icon, live template, and I want to add a template for Surefire plugin. Okay, because I don't want to write this code again. I can go in Google and search, or I can go to some other projects and search, but that involves a lot of efforts. I don't want to do this. As a good coder, you don't want to move away from the IDE. If you move away from the IDE, you lose your focus, right, in coding. So let's try to do everything within the IDE, right? So Surefire plugin. Again, the template text is what we copied from there, and yeah, the version is all there. Again, I need to apply the context here where it needs to be applied only on the Maven side. Again, if you want to choose multiple ones, you can also choose that, but in our case, it's just one. Again, also, if you notice, I have a Selenium dependency, TestNG dependency, WebDriver Manager dependency. Everything is already added in my IntelliJ IDE. Again, this might be supportable in your Eclipse as well. So check for the templates, right? Good, and click on apply and OK. Now, if I come here and type Surefire, it's suggesting me the description and the Surefire, right? So I press enter, and all of them got ordered, right? So now they are calling the testng.xml from the Maven command, right? Let's try to run the test and see whether it is working. Again, most importantly, if you notice, they have only Chrome driver.exe, which means this might not work in your Linux or your Mac machines because you need a different executables there. Okay, from the project sections itself, you can understand. But thankfully, I'm using a Windows machine, but still it won't work because I don't know what the Chrome driver version they have, because the project has been now updated. So let's see whether it is running. So let's go and try to run it directly for now. Okay, run testng.xml. You can also run it from Maven command. So if you notice, so it cannot find the Chrome binary, right? So basically, it cannot able to start it properly. So we need to fix it. Again, I have a lot of tasks to do. First is I need to update this. I have updated this, but you can also update the Selenium dependency. So first, let's do it. Selenium. I have something for Selenium, right? Okay, it should be there. So if you notice, I have already added for Selenium, so it should be there. So Selenium is basically Selenium. So the context is not applied. That's why it is not coming. So I go and change the context to Maven. I also come here now and check Selenium. So now this is coming. So I'm using 4 version. Again, after adding it, maybe you can basically go here, and you can also click on this to download the dependency. But for now, what I'm doing, you can also, if you want that to be automatically taken place, the reload automatically to take place, you can also go to the settings, and then click on any changes. So in this way, whatever the change you made in the POM file, that will be automatically refreshed. Okay, you don't have to go and do this refresh yourself. Okay, so if you notice, after enabling that, it started to resolve my dependencies. Okay, in the meantime, what I do, I add the WebDriver manager. Again, it seems I missed to add the context there. So let's go. It's all, so this is basically a live template, live training. So I have not prepared anything. So, there may be small mistakes, guys. Okay. Applicable in Maven. This is applicable. TestNG, Maven. Yeah. Okay. So, let's, let it resolve the dependencies for this particular one. So what basically I have done is I have added the WebDriver manager as well as the dependency of the TestNG, right? I have also updated the TestNG from 6.14 to 7.4 because that's the latest version. Again, Log4j and all, I don't want to touch base this now because I don't know whether this will be compatible. Again, I need to do a lot of efforts, but for now, we'll just understand that first step, we need to do all these updates, right? Again, if you notice, they are using TestNG only. I don't think they are using JUnit anywhere in their code, but they still have the dependencies. Again, why do you want a dependency? To check this, whether they are using dependency in their code, you can press Control and H, and you can just search for JUnit. Okay, so there is nothing found. Okay, let's check whether they are using something from TestNG. Okay, yeah, they are using something from TestNG because these are all the import statements, right? So if you're using something from that particular package, you can understand that's from the imports as well, right? You can also see the code where they're using all these things. So you can basically remove the JUnit dependency. We don't need this. Okay, so that's all. So I think the resolving also happens. So if you notice this, everything is happening. Again, they're using older version of external reports, but there is a big change from external reports 4 to 5. So if I have to update to the latest version, I need to touch base the code and see how they are using it. So let's not do it for now. Okay, so we have almost done everything here, and yeah, so, I think first step, we need to run the test. Again, if you are someone who forgets what you do, I use a plugin for IntelliJ called as To Do For Me. You can go and add it from the marketplace. Again, what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark whatever stuff that I need to do. Again, this is how I approach this problem. Again, the SS means it's a priority. It's a very high priority. You want to use SS. um, so yes, it's a very priority that I need to run the tests. Okay, I need to fix all the things, and then I should see a test getting run. So that's my first priority. Okay, and let's see how can I do this. Okay, so let's work on that. So let's go and understand this. Okay, I go here inside SRC test. Okay, they have written everything inside SRC test. That is very bad because there needs to be a main folder where they should split all the page objects, all the other stuff there. Okay, your test folder should only contain the test cases, not everything, right? So that's very bad. We will fix that later, but for now, again, our focus is to basically make this code to run. Okay, so they have page objects here. Hey, look at the 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 convention of the packages, right? It's not really good. Page objects in camel cases, that's not someone will do, right? So that's really bad. Okay, I need to really work on how the naming conventions they have used. Okay, the naming convention is having a bigger problem. I need to fix this. Okay, this may be my second task. Okay, I'll mark down all these things. Okay, and if you notice, they also have test cases. Okay, maybe. Okay, look at the code, guys. Okay, it's very bad. See, what is a base class? Okay, is it a base test or a base page? What does it denotes? Okay, I cannot understand really from the name itself. Okay, have you anywhere seen people from uh, let's take an example from extent reports. Okay, if you go and check their code, okay, see, their packages are meaningfully named. Okay, configuration. Okay, I can understand there is something related to configuration inside this. Okay, markup utils, they have some utilities code that helps you to do markups. Okay, highlighting in green, yellow. Okay, we can basically understand all these things. Extent reports, extent reporter, extent test, I analyze strategy. Okay, so I report, media entity, builder, it's a builder class. Okay, we can understand from the name itself what it does. But here, the base class is is very wrong, guys. Okay, many people use this. Don't use this. Okay, please give a name like base test at least. Okay, that's the least you could do. Please do it. Okay, we don't suppose if a developer comes and sees your code, okay, or a newcomer comes and sees your code, he has to really understand what's going on, right? So let's go inside this. Again, this code is doing a lot of things. Okay, they are reading something from a property file. Okay, and okay, if you're reading something from a property file, where you want an instance variable again. Okay, we'll fix this later, but for now our focus is to basically run this test. Okay, they are passing the browser value from the testng.xml, as we know. And look at the name, guys. Look at the name, br. What does a br means? Okay, why you cannot really name it as a browser? Okay, what's the real harm in there? Okay, let's try to fix all these things. Okay, let's try to change this to, again, I use a presentation assist on the top, so you can see the shortcuts that I use to name it. Okay, I don't want to go and change in all the places. Okay, so now this is done. So again, they're using see, this is a problem with log4j. You have to clutter your codes and unknowingly with all these lines of code that really don't have to be here. Okay, good. Again, the reason why people use log4j in development, because they don't have a report, right? So they need to log it so that they can go, someone like in the support team can go through the logs in the server and understand the information what is happening in the application. We are not running any production grade application. Okay, we don't need the logs at the runtime. Even if you need the logs at the runtime, what are the logs you write to the extend report? Just delegate that to some elk. Okay, I already have the videos how we can send the logs to elk and how we can see that. So maybe if you want that, you can integrate with some elk or other you know um, uh, logging mechanisms that that you can use. But don't use log4j. That is my personal concern, because that adds an added layer, add more work, and most importantly, you never get any benefit out of it. Okay, nobody will even go and check the logs again. Okay, again, to make it make the log work in multi-threaded environment, I don't know, it's really complex, and don't do it, right? That's my suggestion. Let's remove that later, but for now they are doing an if else check. Again, you don't need to comment everything, guys. I can basically understand from here. It's a Firefox browser. I don't have to really go through this, right? So I don't need this comment at all. So I'm not that blunt. Okay, don't write comment unnecessarily. So that's again a thumb rule, right? So don't again write a comment unnecessarily. We don't need that. Okay, your code should explain the intent, what it's doing. Okay, you don't have to really do this. Okay, and guys, if you notice, he's getting the username here, but again here is just calling read config.get firefox path. So now why do you need this? Okay, let's try to delete this. Okay, and nothing else changed. So you don't need that at all. Then why you want to keep it, right? So yeah, so again, this class does a lot of things. We want to optimize this class, but for now, let's try to make this code to work. Again, if you notice, the testng.xml, they are passing Chrome, right? So if you're passing Chrome, why can't you have this particular check, okay, in the first place? Okay, hey Amudan, what is, you are blaming everything, Amudan. What is the problem in having the Chrome here and Firefox, Firefox in the top and Chrome here, guys? In an if else condition, okay, you just need to understand, in a if else condition, if only this fails, it goes here. Okay, in if your cases, if there are cases that you use Chrome more often than Firefox, then use your Chrome in that first, right? You do the check here, so that it won't even go and evaluate this. But in the previous case, first it goes and check whether this browser name is Firefox. There is a little bit of effort spent on that. Okay, anyways, that's going to be false. Okay, so whenever you, so this is a thumb rule, whenever you're using a if else condition, use the condition, okay, that occurs the most, that occurs most on the top. Okay, these are simple rules. Again, here the if condition is very simple. It's just comparing two strings, right? So this may be little simple here, but in most of the cases we do we may read it from we want to check whether the database is having a field or a column in a particular row. So in those cases it becomes very complex, right? So don't do this. Again, in most of the cases, if you don't use, normally people just create this but they never use it. Okay, again, in my case also, I don't really need, I'm not going to use IE, so there is no need to have that in your code. You don't have to really have that in your code, so let's remove it. Again, if you notice, they only have if and else if. What if the user pass Chrome or Firefox, then it's fine. But if what if they pass something else? If they pass Opera, what happens? Okay, okay, there are two cases. Okay, maybe first you need to use an else condition, and either you can throw a runtime exception, because if the browser is not matching, you want to stop the program. Sometimes you don't want to stop the program either. Maybe you can run it on your default browser as Chrome, anything. But for now, a good practice is basically to throw a new runtime exception. Okay, runtime exception basically stops the program, terminates the program. Okay, uh, so that's some stuff you can do. Again, you can create subclasses of this runtime exception so that it's more meaningful, but for time being I'm not doing it. I'm just creating a browser value needs does not match, something like this. Okay, okay, again, also mention please fix that. Okay, okay, they don't know where to fix this. Okay, please fix that in test.ng.xml. Okay, you throw some message, it has to be meaningful, right? So yeah, now let's get rid of all these things. Okay, I don't want all these things. Okay, so if I have to use WebDriver manager, then I can just type WDM. Again, this is a trick in IntelliJ. Okay, you don't have to type WebDriver manager, you just need to type all the capital letters, right? So WebDriver manager, it automatically understands, right? So WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. Okay, very simple. Now, okay, they may have driver, right? So they have the driver variable new Chrome driver. Okay, again, they only have this static driver, so this might not be working in a multi-threaded environment. So we are still understanding how this framework works. Yeah, and manager dot Firefox driver, right, dot setup. Okay, and driver equal to new Firefox driver. Okay, and again, we'll come to and optimize this if else code later, but for now we'll just trying to run this particular piece of code and see whether it is working. Okay, let's try to first run it from test.ng.xml directly. So it's telling it cannot find base URL, username, password. Okay, okay, it seems whatever the stuff that we have deleted from the from here is what basically causing the issues. Okay, so this that's why we need to remove a little and then test a little. So now we have actually understood they are using this in some other class. Okay, so base URL, okay, username and password, we need to add this. I don't know, we'll have to get this, but this is a very bad approach, right? So let's try to avoid this. So let us try to fix this code, right? So again, we need to retrieve the deleted values. Again, in IntelliJ or even in Eclipse, I think you have this option. So what you can do, you can go to the file and you have the local history here. Okay, go to the show history and it will show you the changes that you have normally done, right? So for example, I am now in this particular position. So if you notice, this particular 3 lines of code is what I want, right? So I can basically select this and then click on this arrow button. So this is the uh, version on 12th October 2021 at this particular time, and this is your current version. Current version doesn't have that. So basically what I want to, just want these 3 lines of code. I add it. Okay, and then I close this. Now if you notice, you have this 3 lines of code. Again, you don't have to do Control Z. If you do an undo, then you have to again do this. Okay, again, you need to change the browser, all these things. Okay, so don't do undo. So if you deleted something without knowing it, so basically you can go to the file history, the local history, and then you can retrieve only the certain lines of code that you want, right? I see people normally don't leverage all these things. That's a problem, right? You need to, if you are a developer, if you are an automation engineer, you work with IDE, know about the IDE so much. Okay, it definitely going to help you and save a lot of time, right? Good. Again, let's try to run this. We have added this. Let's see whether this works. Okay, again, you don't have to always run it from here. You can also run from here, or you can also use the shortcuts, right? So again, there is problems. Okay, so it seems there is Apache Commons IO utils. There is a class, the method called toString, that is missing. So the error message is very, very clear, right? So it is telling your Apache Commons IO library doesn't have IO utils. Again, this is because the WebDriver manager dependency that we have added now, this is not the problem with the existing code. The WebDriver manager dependency that we have added, okay, is requires some method from this Apache Commons. Since we use some older versions of Apache Commons library, so this is not available in that, and it's telling no method error. Okay, if when you get no method error, so this means the class is already present in the this particular older version, but the method is not present. So we just need to update this particular library to the latest one. So what we will try to do, we'll try to run Apache Commons Maven dependency. Okay. This is Commons IO, so I'll go there because it clearly told the error IO utils. So it moves to, okay, let's go to the later version of 2.11 and let's copy this and come here and paste this. Okay, I have enabled automatic imports, so it basically resolved the differences for me. Yeah, that's all seems to be done. Let's try to run the test again. Okay, let's run the test engine.xml. Yeah, at last we could able to open the Chrome browser. That's good. But again, the test is failing. Again, we need to go and deep into the test and then see why it is failing. But yeah, it's failing because of no such element. Again, we haven't explored all that, but we'll try to optimize this piece of code in the coming classes. We'll go and to the test class. We'll see what is the problem with their coding and other stuff. There are a lot of problems, guys. There are a lot of learnings for us as well. So we'll try to avoid all these things. I'll see you guys in another great video. Until then, tada, bye bye from Amudan. You all have a very good day. Bye.